So, hello and welcome to Sourcing Today. My name is Amit Subodh and I am your host. We are building a community of folks involved in global trade, procurement, logistics, supply chain, and cross border payment. Today, we have our first guest, Delon Saks, who is the founder of BTBC Products Inc. And we'll learn more about his journey, his experience, and challenge while building this fabulous Amazon brand. And so why not we start with you, Delon? Introduce yourself to the people and how come you started this company.
Yeah, thanks, Amit. So, as mentioned, my name is Delon Saks, and I founded a company called BTBC Products. And we've been working with Amit for quite a long time in the sustainable tableware category. I'm actually an engineer by trade, but several years ago, I wanted to start a business like many others, and I was always interested. Part of me was always interested in working kind of in international trade or in the import export, working with people from other countries, sourcing from other countries, things like that. So e-commerce, Amazon in particular, were seemed like a good fit with my interests, as well as just how e-commerce was growing at the time. And so it was a good fit, and so I jumped in and started an e-commerce company in a category that Amit just happened to have been working in a country that made sense, and we were kind of off to the races from there.
Wow. So starting with why don't you tell us the whole journey of narrowing down the product, about your research and probably why you chose Amazon to start with.
Yeah, that last part first, I guess. Amazon to start with. So I have some partners in the company actually, and they had been involved in a straight to Amazon D2C company previously in a totally different space. But based on some of my kind of silent partners in the business, based on their experience and their expertise around SEO and certain Amazon specific skill sets, Amazon kind of made sense instead of going a different route in terms of e-commerce, a D2C or a Facebook first strategy. Um, in terms of the product category, there were quite a few. There were quite a few that I was looking at applying kind of filters that a lot of people apply when they're first looking at this, in terms of you want to see some types of sales history, some type of momentum. You want to see, um, is it growing? Is it relatively less? Is there some competition? Not too much competition? All those kind of filters that are out in a lot of different places on the internet that you can find. But what I don't know. At least when I was looking through, there's certain kind of softer aspects or non-quantitative qualities you can that don't show up. You can't filter for them, but you see them as you look into products more closely. So certain categories although they matched the hard filters, they were, in my opinion, almost junk, or I didn't think they would have legs to them. Whereas when I came across products made from areca leaves, and specifically, tableware, it it caught my eye immediately as a consumer, as something that I would be interested in. It fit a lot of um, industry tailwinds in terms of going towards more sustainable, more eco-friendly products. I thought it made sense as a potential substitute to paper plates, for example, and plastic and what I had been using. So as a consumer, it really made sense. I liked that it was coming out of India as well. It's become more popular to source out of India somewhat lately, but back then it wasn't nearly as popular. Um, and so going to India instead of China, we had to do um, I saw it as kind of a competitive advantage, because you could. There were lots of systems set up, for example, for your first order out of China that you would that even Alibaba, Trade Assurance, I believe it was called. There were a lot of mechanisms in place to kind of guarantee you didn't get scammed, so to speak, buying out of China. But buying out of India, we were speaking with people that were in a cottage industry. This little it wasn't a built up industry at all, and we weren't operating through a third party. So it was really we had to take a chance starting out that we just wouldn't get scammed by these people, on a different continent with no backer. So that all of that, I thought would deter a lot of people from getting into that space. And so if we were able to make it work and get in there first, then that would be a competitive advantage. So all those factors together kind of led to it.
Wonderful, wonderful. So now let's focus more on your experience with Amazon and your selling with Amazon, right? How many years you have been doing that, and was the Areca was the first product for you, or you planned any other product as well on Amazon?
Yeah, as mentioned, my partners in the business have experience before me and with a wide array of products on Amazon.
Yeah.
My kind of goal when I was going into it, I wanted, and there's different strategies on Amazon, and you can kind of iterate over time. But I saw a lot of potential within Areca itself, like just Areca, and products you could build there, and then kind of branching off into other sustainable tableware categories. But I kind of wanted to focus on that niche and kind of expand the product catalog there, before we did anything else. And I've there's certain areas where kind of like material research and like manufacturing processes still need to catch up in terms of like cups, for example. It's actually very difficult to get fully compostable cups, for example. It's a problem that small manufacturers and large manufacturers alike are still trying to tackle. So there's still a lot of space, a kind of open space there to bring a fully compostable tableware, or eventware set to the consumer. So I think there's still a lot of potential there.
Hmm, got it. Before most of our viewers get confused, let me explain what Areca is. Areca plates, which Delon is selling on Amazon, is a product of a Areca palm tree. It's a Areca nut which is produced and used in different products such as your paints. But the leaf, which is naturally fallen leaf from the tree, which happens like twice a time in a whole year, that leaf can be molded into a different tableware. And we use hot press to make those molds and to create a different products out of it. And the most popular ones are the tableware with round plates, square plates, and the bowls over there. So, Delon, now coming back to the whole experience of listing the product and your first 6 month, what were you were very much critical about when you were started selling on Amazon? And I believe you were using FBA from the day one, or you were using some third party logistics center.
Yeah, we were using FBA from day one. Our logistics, from manufacturer all the way to Amazon FBA has definitely changed over time, and we've from the U.S. ports we're shipping into to our third party warehouses to our all that strategy has definitely we've iterated on a lot from the beginning. But we have been using Amazon FBA from the beginning. The first and by far the most important, definitely one of the most important, probably the most important aspects when we first launched, um, was around product quality, basically, and making sure. So we actually started with a separate company, or a separate manufacturing group, one that Amit isn't associated with. But we started with someone else, and it was. Um, Again, we're having these, like, people in North America don't really know what a rake leaf is or what is actually the process, and we hadn't been to India yet to see exactly what was going on. So we were really trying to we placed a lot of trust, and we had people go check out the products and inspect in India, but it was really around, are we going to get something that's close to the samples that were sent, on a repeatable basis. And so we were really concerned about product quality. There were certain, because people weren't used to products like that, they would think that maybe natural spotting on the plates themselves were, for example, mold or something else that would deter them from using them, and they would leave negative reviews concerning that. So it's really around us getting an idea of what product quality we could expect, how to get to the product quality that we expected consistently, what what meant bad quality versus what was just a natural part of the natural variation of the product, communicating that with consumers through just the way we presented our product on Amazon, and follow up emails, and the regular kind of following up with your customer type approach. And so it was really around product quality and getting a handle on what the quality we needed for the North American market and how to get that consistently.
Understood. Understood. So let's talk about some of the challenges which you faced across this, and let's focus first on the supplier side, and then we'll focus on the selling side, right? Because when we are in a global trade, we are not only taking products from one country, but we are moving across different continents, across seas. And I believe you are using the freight, which is the ocean freight over here. So, what is the typical challenges when you were earlier looking out for the manufacturers based out in India? How you were able to narrow down to one of them and started working. So, if you can help us with all the information here.
Well, at the beginning, it was just kind of taking a chance on people over email and based on the samples. I mean, over time, we iterated, and uh, you and I have been working together for a long time now, so you get the feel over time for suppliers. But at the beginning, I'd be lying if I didn't say it was just kind of luck, and taking a chance with certain suppliers based on initial communications. Like over time, whether the product quality is good or bad will play out in the reviews, and you'll understand, are they lying to me or not. So the proof is in the pudding there. When it comes to the actual logistical challenges, that can be um, and that's one of the biggest benefits by far of working with the right supplier, is having someone make sure everything is moving slowly or smoothly, sorry, and efficiently. Like when I was doing it myself a lot at the beginning, and it was like at times there would be a container sitting somewhere not moving, and it but I didn't know that because maybe the email thread was so convoluted that I thought someone was taking care of it, but really they were waiting for me to do something, and so we just had products sitting there not moving, or making sure that we were getting the best routes out of India. The most cost efficient, the quickest, we're shipping to the right spot, and people weren't just being lazy and passing the costs on to us. Transparent pricing, making sure we're not getting ripped off along the way, whether it's overcharging for like trucking, there's all these little steps, which unless you're actually in India, in our case, looking after the process, that people can either get lazy, which costs you time, get lazy, which costs you money, get dishonest, which costs you money. There's all these little places that can trip you up. So working with someone you trust, and knowing that they're kind of working very hard to get it, to get you your product as quickly as possible, it makes a big difference. And when your incentives are aligned, I mean, they get your product they get you your product more quickly, more efficiently, you sell better, you get more product from them. It's a virtuous cycle. So when everyone's kind of aligned on that, and you can trust them, trust is a big one. Then over time you figure out who you should work with and who you shouldn't.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think it's all about putting up your time and testing the whole relationship over a period of several years, which can build this whole trust and the whole relationship across the border. Let's talk about those scenarios which were not in our control. Like let's talk about COVID. When it hit, and it hit hard throughout the world, it was impacted. Uh, how do you see that phase with your business during COVID, after COVID? If you could recall some of the memories.
Yeah, it was tough for us because we were selling really, really well before COVID, and we actually took on, financing and debt to catch up with all the inventory we needed. And basically, as we had all that new inventory coming into the US, COVID hit, and for our product that's used, social events and everything, where our demand basically went to zero or close to. So we had, we took out debt to buy all this inventory, and then we're sitting on all this inventory with no demand and no idea when everything was gonna open up again. So that was a really tough time. You can't forecast that. You try to keep enough cash around to weather storms. If you can't, then you have to look for creative financing, creative ways to get out of it, financing wise. Um, it I don't know. You can't really plan for that. Um, so that was a tough time for us. Luckily, we were able to kind of restructure our debt essentially in creative ways, and we found enough cash to make it through out the other side, and then eventually it started going away, and we saw demand start picking up again. And since we had kind of stuck it out where a lot of companies went under, that kind of helped us coming out of COVID, to still be there selling. Um, and yeah, I mean it's just something you can plan for. It was a really tough time for us, but we made it out luckily.
Wonderful. And I believe it was the whole peak happened after the COVID when people start buying more online, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, there was a lot of pent up demand. So, which I mean, can it is great, but it's also, you know, forecasting is extremely tough. And when you have peaks and troughs like that, it's huge demand is you always want huge demand, but sometimes it can feel like more of a problem than not, just because there's a whole supply chain in place, and you can't get, at least for our product line, you can't get new inventory ordered today and delivered tomorrow. There's a big lag time, so there's challenges along the way.
Absolutely. So whenever an e-commerce player who is taking the products from one continent to another, probably from China or even from India, it takes roughly around 30 to 60 days to reach in the US soil. And over here, what's most important, as you rightly say, is the projection or the forecasting. How do you manage your forecasting, Delon? And here, particularly, I want to touch the your part of the career where you are working as a data scientist, and what skills you are bringing in on the table for this business, which is helping you to succeed and do a better forecasting. If you can let our viewers know about it.
I've tried certain things around forecasting, either via like spreadsheets or via kind of simple forecasting models, just using my background. And honestly, in my opinion, I guess where my experience comes in for this particular case is that they don't work that well, to be honest. And so what I've the solution I found is, at least for our company, investing in the right software, investing in the right tool to help you, and updating it as frequently as possible. Um, for us, making long term forecasts based on statistical models and things like that, I haven't found to work. COVID would break that. There's lots of things that can break that. I'm not saying they don't work ever, but they haven't worked for us. So really, just putting managing tons of spreadsheets really gets out of hand fairly quickly. So investing in a tool, whether that's a tool you build yourself or a third party tool, and just staying on top of your inventory, staying on top of anything that would change your forecast, updating that. So just updating as not every hour or whatever, but updating, being pragmatic about when you update, and keeping an eye on everything. Um, is at least now better than I've found, than just passing off all that responsibility to a model or a set of models.
So help me conclude the whole learning which you have been from this journey, right? If you have to redo the whole thing, what would be those mistakes you want to avoid when you're starting again, or anybody who want to start now?
Investing in the right forecasting tool, whatever that is, earlier rather than later, it's really really helped. And just if anything, just as like an organization, just able to quickly visualize and organize, and run different scenarios quickly can really help. I mean, if you're not selling anything, this doesn't pertain to you, because if you're it like you have to actually have a product or a suite of products that are selling and that you see demand, like you see potential for forecasting or inventory management to come into play. But that was something that was always extremely tough, and getting a handle on that took way longer than I would have liked. Um, Also, just trying to set a brand strategy earlier rather than later. Um, I think putting a lot more time into what you want a brand to look like and how you how you want to present it, and staying on top of every which way you can present that on the channels you're using. Um, and obviously, that's e-commerce in general. That's very important. Amazon is building a brand, so to speak, within Amazon. I found, I don't know, it's interesting because in some ways Amazon's almost like a bazaar, or there are it's tough to, in my opinion, really separate yourself as a brand within Amazon. But over time, especially, there's been more ways to do that. So staying on top of that and trying to always keep that front of mind will really, over time you see how valuable that is.
What's the trend you're seeing in those this eco-friendly or the sustainable products which is being sold on Amazon? Do you see any trend which is picking up and some new products entering this space?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's gotten more competitive for sure, but I think there are more and more, even off Amazon, the types of companies reaching out. Like, a lot of people still don't know what a Reka palm leaf is. They don't know you can make products out of it. Um, I mean, the kind of mega trend in terms of moving towards more eco-friendly, I think it is obviously not going to go away. It can kind of ebb and flow a little bit, at least in terms of what you read in the paper. But that mega trend is still there. So I think more and more people realizing that there are more alternatives to paper and plastic plates that actually look good. Um, and so more, just as more eco-conscious customers grow, get a little bit older and have more disposable income, they're willing to spend more on these types of alternatives. So there's kind of just an underlying tailwind there in terms of this product category. Um, and yeah, in terms of you know you know different parts of if you think of hosting an event, different pieces of tableware that are present. I mean, we started with plates, but there's bowls and platters, and there's all this you can expand into, and solving cups, solving there's cutlery. There's a lot of, like, you can just think about a party and think of all the things there that can be made more eco-friendly, quote unquote, and there's a lot of opportunities there.
Absolutely. I think one constraint which eco-friendly or the sustainable products have is the scalability, right? Right down to the areca, which is a 100% natural product. It takes a lot of manual effort to cast and make into an end product, which can be used by a consumer. It's not an industrialized product, and unlike plastic or any other products, which is industrialized and which can be manufactured at a very large scale at a competitive cost. I think sustainability has that limitation because in the end it's a sustainable product, right? But I believe there is a lot of scope over here because we as human have been living sustainable before the industrial revolution happened, and there are new product categories which are developing. I believe there's one paper cup which we got hold on, and which the regular paper cup, which is a PE cup, has a lining on it. This one is having an aqua lining on it, which is developed by none other than that ITC, which is a Fortune 100 company in India, and it's growing demand. We can see definitely the use case in different products. Apart from that, bagasse is as well picking up, and we have new products such as palm straws, which is coming up. It's a new patented product from Bangalore, India, and we'll be seeing lots of changes happening. And I think rightly you said that trend is as people get more aware about these new products, they will be go on and procuring and buying it, definitely. So that will bring the whole thing to my last question, Delon. What is the advice? I know that you have told about forecasting model and some of the products. Maybe if you can tell us some of the name about the famous forecasting tools which you can suggest to new people who are starting the e-commerce right now, or some advices for the new people who will be starting right away, how to choose a supplier, or probably how to uh, do good on Amazon or anywhere else.
Yeah, I mean the supplier manufacturer, like I said, is you just can't succeed without working with someone that you trust, and building a long term relationship is so key. It just wouldn't work without it, and it's maybe you can make it work for sometimes switching back and forth between people that but like the hardship the kind of mental strain that would require and just all I really don't think you could make this type of thing work without a long term relationship with the manufacturer unless you actually have a party present in the country where you're operating. So I think that's really um, that is maybe the most important part of this whole puzzle. Um, Pick something that, in my opinion, pick something that you can. I don't know. Pick a cat. For me, at least, I was actually interested in this category, and that helps over time. You obviously your focus is making profit, but it helps if you're actually someone interested in the product. I think it helps you with kind of branding and creative and expansion, and it's just so don't fight your curiosity there. Um, the tool I'm using is called So Stocked. I mean, I have no affiliation. I met the founder once in Austin, but I don't know. I have no affiliation, but I found it very useful. And I wish I would have incorporated something like that earlier on. Um, but again, yeah, I mean, I've been working with Amit for a few years now, and I can confidently say that the teamwork present is vital to our success. Absolutely vital.
Wonderful. It was very nice speaking with you, Delon, and thanks again for the time you gave to us. And viewers, that's the end of our show. Do subscribe to our newsletter, visit uh, sourcing.today. We also have a LinkedIn community coming in, so you can go to the website and link to it and join us. And hope to see you next time with the next guest soon.